Well, if you have managed to find a student summer job, you've probably been at it for a while now. Things may have started well, but as the summer slowly wears on, it's clear the honeymoon is over. That great new summer job may be turning into a bit of a grind, and toughing it out until school starts again can seem nearly impossible. Well, here to talk about how to survive your summer job is our workplace psychologist, Jennifer Newman. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
It's funny because in looking at this earlier, I thought, yes, I've been there in one of my very first jobs where you start out, you're really excited, and by the time, August rolls around, you can't believe you signed up for this thing.
That's right.
How
We're kind of in that zone right now.
Well, exactly. We'll talk about that. But how often, do you hear a lot about young people starting up summer jobs and then just not being able to hack it because it turns into such a grind?
It absolutely does. And there can be a situation where the novelty is wearing off and replaced by reality of what the job actually entails. And so the worker finds that the job wasn't what they expected, or aspects of it, like you were saying, that weren't so bad at first are now becoming hard to take. And I did speak with a student who was very thrilled to have a job at a retail store. She was selling clothes, loved it. But after a while, she noticed that this music in the store was on a continuous loop.
The same reason I can't go into those stores.
Exactly, and also up loud too, right? And it wasn't turned off until the end of the day. She really appreciated the job, but she was becoming very embarrassed with herself, I guess, because this was turning into a pet peeve. Other times the job just falls short of expectations. So a university student who had a co-op job at an environmental agency found himself basically filing, archiving, photocopying,
Not what they signed up for.
No, reading old briefs, stuff like that. And really, again, grateful for the work. And we got to remember that. Everybody's super grateful, but it did fall short of what he thought he was signed up for. Exactly.
Are there, regardless of what the job is, are there some common scenarios that everybody who takes on a summer job needs to kind of navigate as they make their way through the summer?
Yes. And of course, a big one's working with the public.
Yeah.
If your job is to interact with customers by the close of summer, you might start struggling with this. So there's the weeks of serving, handling complaints, giving the same instructions over and over and over again, taking down information. All of that gets difficult. Even if you describe yourself as a people person, it can be hard. And I also want to say, seasoned workers who work with the public day in, day out, regular folk, find this difficult as well. So it's not to feel too bad about it. But there are ways to make it easier. You might be starting to feel burnt out because you bumped into a few nasty customers. That's usually when it starts to really drag. And if someone is actually being abusive or harassing you, go get help from your supervisor, your manager, or a seasoned coworker. And also, we know that if you focus more on the positive customers, linger a little over there, because the positivity is a bit contagious. It can help you, and so it rubs off on you a little bit. So there's one way to navigate that issue.
All right. And for people who maybe aren't working with the public directly, what are they getting frustrated by? What else can frustrate summer workers?
Your boss. So the big one there is...
You mean your summer boss?
Your summer boss. A lot of folks also, do actually have a good relationship with their boss. However, it's not always the case, and the summer workers might feel watched or micromanaged by the supervisor, which may have been okay at the beginning, but it's starting to wear. And so one thing to do there is to try to see it a little bit for now from your boss's point of view. That person is probably being judged fairly critically on how well they are doing, which means how you're doing is important to them. So if you're a star, they're a star, essentially. And if the boss is breathing down your neck, just remember that they're also looking out for their own reputation as well as bothering you. So
Can an intolerable situation be made tolerable if you're surrounded by good people, if you're working with people you like?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If you have a friend at work, it helps. And a lot of the reason summer jobs work out really well is because there's a lot of camaraderie, and maybe there's other students who are, in the same boat together. You might, though, run into the odd coworker who rubs you the wrong way, which is another issue. Like you said, some people you naturally want to work with. Essentially, you want to just understand that, why am I here? Ask yourself, okay, I'm making some money for school, whatever you're traveling, whatever the reason is. But the summer staff is also there to fill in for the regular staff.
Right.
Lend a hand in an extra busy season, help the owner out for a few months. So try to think about why you were hired and maybe a little less about the bothersome coworker. Focus on your job. This is a really interesting thing for when you get out into the work world for real. There's going to be people you don't like, people who don't like you, but that's not the point. The point is about just getting that job done. And the other thing is, it is a summer job, so hang in. You only got a few more weeks of having to deal with a coworker who's bothering you.
Right. But it is, I mean, it can be, especially for young people, it's important experience to put on your resume.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And we do know that it actually helps a lot in the future to have some kind of summer work.
How big a factor is the fear of missing out? Okay, I'll paint the picture for you. When I was 15 years old and I got a job at the Y as a junior camp counselor, my very first job, I was so excited to get the job, but then I had to actually be there at the Y at 7 a.m. every day and didn't end until like 4:30 in the afternoon. And I would run into my friends when we dragged these poor children on public transit to parks and stuff and be like, oh man, look at everything I'm missing.
And they're all having a good time,
Yeah.
apparently. Because their shift doesn't intersect with yours.
Because they didn't have to work through the summer.
Darn.
Yeah.
The thing is that you're right. There's when you're first starting out to work, there's a whole stamina issue here where fatigue can set in, right? And I do know that some workplaces, especially in the trades, will see younger workers coming in who are tired. That's a safety issue.
Yeah.
So folks will be, offered more breaks and that kind of thing, in understanding that you've got to build that stamina. The other part is, people in the summer might be pulling long hours because they have their shift, but then they also want to be with their friends.
Yeah.
And so you burn the candle at both ends. Be careful of that. Get sleep between your shifts.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, 9.5 hours a day of 3-year-olds was hard, but it was.
It is. And I think that's probably some teachers out there are probably nodding their heads right now.
Jennifer Newman, great to see you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a happy summer.
Thank you.
Jennifer Newman, our workplace psychologist. She's with us every week.